Hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's story. Your likes and subscriptions can give me hope to create better stories. And let me know what changes you'd like me to make to my voice. All right, let's get to tonight's story. Chapter 1. The Morning Awakening. Close your eyes now and let your breathing slow and deepen. Imagine you're drifting backward through time, floating gently like a feather on a warm Mediterranean breeze. The modern world fades away behind you. No alarm clocks, no electric lights, no rushing traffic, until you find yourself settling softly into a world over 2,000 years ago. It's dawn in ancient Athens, around 450 BCE, during the golden age of Pericles. You wake not to the gentle chime of your phone's alarm, but to the gradual lightening of the sky through a small, unglazed window. There is no glass here, just an opening in the stone wall that can be covered with wooden shutters. The morning air carries the scent of olive oil, bread baking in outdoor ovens, and the distant bleating of goats making their way through narrow cobblestone streets. Your bed is not the soft, spring-supported mattress you're used to. Instead, you lie on a simple wooden frame strung with leather strips, topped with a thin mattress stuffed with straw, wool, or if you're fortunate, feathers. The pillow beneath your head is firm, perhaps stuffed with chaff or cloth scraps. Your body aches slightly from the unfamiliar firmness, but there's something honest about this simplicity that your modern muscles will slowly learn to appreciate. The room around you is sparse by today's standards, yet functional. The walls are made of sun-dried mud bricks, plastered and painted in simple geometric patterns of red and yellow ochre. There are no closets bursting with dozens of outfits. Instead, your clothing hangs from wooden pegs on the wall, perhaps 2 or 3 chitons, the simple draped garments that form the basis of Greek dress, along with a himation, a cloak for cooler weather. You rise from bed and immediately face your first challenge. There is no bathroom as you know it. Instead, you must venture to a small courtyard where a chamber pot awaits, or perhaps visit the public latrine down the street, a communal space where privacy is a luxury unknown. The concept of toilet paper doesn't exist. Instead, you'll use pieces of broken pottery called ostraka, or in better circumstances, sea sponges attached to sticks. As you contemplate this reality, feel your breathing remain calm and steady. Remember that millions of people lived full, rich lives this way for centuries. They found joy and meaning without the conveniences you're used to. Let this thought wash over you like warm water, reminding you how adaptable human beings truly are. The absence of running water means no quick morning shower to wake you up. Instead, you pour water from a ceramic pitcher into a basin, water that was carried by hand from the nearest well or fountain house. The water is cool against your skin as you wash your face and hands. There's no soap as you know it, but perhaps a mixture of ash and animal fat, or simply olive oil rubbed into the skin and scraped away with a bronze tool called a strigil. Your teeth, if you're fortunate enough to clean them at all, are cleaned with a frayed stick or perhaps a cloth dipped in wine mixed with honey. Toothbrushes and toothpaste are inventions of the far distant future. Many people your age would already have lost several teeth, making each meal a more thoughtful, deliberate process of chewing. As you dress, Pulling the simple keton over your head and fastening it with bronze pins called fibulae, you realize how much time modern clothing saves you. There are no zippers, no buttons, no elastic waistbands. Everything must be draped, pinned, and tied. The fabric, if you're wealthy enough, might be fine linen or wool, but it won't be cotton, as cotton won't reach Greece for several more centuries. The dyes that colour your clothes come from expensive sources. Purple from murex shells, red from madder root, yellow from saffron. Your feet slip into simple leather sandals, if you own them, or perhaps remain bare. A reminder that most people in this time walk everywhere on unpaved streets, through dust in summer and mud in winter. Your feet would develop thick calluses, becoming naturally adapted to the rough terrain in a way that your modern feet, accustomed to cushioned shoes and smooth surfaces, would find initially painful. The morning light grows stronger, and you hear the sounds of the city awakening around you. But these aren't the sounds you know. No cars starting, no electrical hums, no distant airplane engines. Instead, you hear the clip-clop of donkey hooves on stone, the creak of wooden cart wheels, the calls of vendors beginning to set up their stalls in the agora, and the distant sound of hammering as metalworkers begin their daily labor. As you listen to these ancient sounds, let them wash over you like gentle waves. Each sound tells a story of human ingenuity and adaptation. Feel your body relaxing as you realize you're connected to an unbroken chain of human experience stretching back thousands of years. Your stomach begins to remind you that it's time for breakfast. But opening your refrigerator means lifting the lid of a ceramic storage jar. There's no electric cooling, no ice, no preservation beyond salting, drying, or storing in oil. Your breakfast might consist of barley porridge if you're a common citizen, perhaps mixed with honey if you're fortunate. Bread, if available, is dark and coarse, made from barley rather than wheat, which is expensive and usually reserved for special occasions. The olive oil you drizzle over your food comes from olives pressed in great stone mills, powered by donkeys or slaves walking in circles. This liquid gold is more precious than you might imagine. It serves not only as food, but as fuel for oil lamps, medicine, perfume, and soap. You would use it sparingly, knowing that each drop represents hours of labor under the Mediterranean sun. Water for drinking comes from ceramic vessels that keep it relatively cool through evaporation. But you must be careful. Much of the water available isn't safe by modern standards. Wine mixed with water is often safer to drink than pure water, which is why even children in ancient Greece consumed diluted wine with their meals. The wine itself is stronger and more resinous than modern varieties, often flavored with herbs or honey. As you eat your simple breakfast, you might hear the sound of a slave grinding grain in a stone quern, the repetitive scraping sound that will continue for hours to produce enough flour for the day's bread. The concept of sliced bread won't exist for over 2 millennia. Each loaf must be torn by hand, making every meal a more tactile, mindful experience. The lack of sugar means sweetness comes only from honey, fresh fruits when in season, or dried fruits carefully preserved from harvest time. Your taste buds, accustomed to the intense sweetness of modern processed foods, would slowly adapt to appreciate subtler flavors. The natural sweetness of a fig, the complex taste of fermented fish sauce, the aromatic blend of herbs growing wild on hillsides. After breakfast, you face the reality that your day's work, whatever it might be, must be accomplished entirely by human and animal power. There are no machines to amplify your strength, no electricity to power tools, no fossil fuels to transport goods quickly across long distances. Every task requires direct human effort, making each day a full-body workout that would leave your modern muscles aching by evening. As the morning progresses, you begin to understand the rhythm of ancient life. Time moves differently here, not by the precise minutes and seconds of digital clocks, but by the sun's journey across the sky, the length of shadows, the calls of roosters, and the natural rhythms of human energy. There's no rushing to catch a bus or checking your phone for the time. Instead, time flows like honey, thick and sweet and present. The concept of being busy, in the modern sense, doesn't exist. Yes, there's work to be done. Crops to tend, pottery to shape, cloth to weave, food to prepare. But there's also time for conversation, for watching clouds drift across the sky, for listening to travelling storytellers in the agora. The frantic pace of modern life, the constant stimulation of notifications and deadlines simply isn't part of this world. You begin to notice how quiet everything is compared to your modern life. No electrical humming, no traffic noise, no constant background sounds of civilization. When people talk, their voices carry clearly through the air. When musicians play, every note is crisp and present. When silence falls, it's complete and deep, broken only by natural sounds, wind through olive leaves, birds calling to each other, the distant lowing of cattle. Your mind, accustomed to processing hundreds of pieces of information simultaneously, text messages, emails, news updates, social media feeds, begins to slow down. There's only what's immediately in front of you. The texture of the stone wall under your hand, the warmth of sunlight on your face, the scent of herbs cooking in a neighbour's kitchen. This singular focus is both peaceful and, initially, unsettling for a mind trained in multitasking. As you prepare to venture out into the ancient world, feel your breathing deepen even further. Let the simplicity of this ancient morning wash over you like warm bathwater. You're learning that happiness and contentment don't require the endless choices and conveniences of modern life. Sometimes the most profound peace comes from the simplest things: bread and olive oil, clean water, shelter from the elements, and the company of other human beings. The first chapter of your ancient journey is complete. As you drift deeper into sleep, carry with you the image of that simple, uncluttered morning, a reminder that contentment can be found in the most basic elements of human existence. As you continue your journey through ancient Greece, let your body sink deeper into your modern bed, feeling grateful for its comfort as we explore what daily survival meant in a world without modern conveniences. Breathe slowly and steadily as we discover together how every simple task required knowledge, skill, and physical endurance that would challenge even the fittest modern person. The mid-morning sun climbs higher, and you realize it's time to venture out for water. One of the most fundamental and time-consuming tasks of ancient life. You pick up a large ceramic amphora, its smooth surface cool against your hands. This vessel, beautiful in its simplicity, can hold several gallons of water, but weighs considerably more when full. Your modern shoulders, used to carrying perhaps a laptop bag or groceries in lightweight containers. The walk to the nearest fountain house or well is several blocks through narrow, winding streets. These aren't paved with smooth asphalt, but with rough stones, many uneven from years of cart traffic and weather. Your feet, soft from a lifetime of cushioned shoes, would feel every pebble, every crack, every sharp edge. The ancient Greeks developed feet like leather from constant walking on these surfaces, but yours would be tender and prone to cuts and bruises. As you walk, balancing the heavy amphora carefully to avoid breaking it, pottery being precious and not easily replaced, you pass by the daily bustle of ancient city life. The air is thick with dust kicked up by passing animals and carts. There's no air conditioning to escape to, no filtered air in buildings. Breathe what nature provides, mixed with the smoke from countless cooking fires, the dust from construction sites where slaves quarry and shape stone by hand, and the various scents of human and animal life in close quarters. The fountain house, when you reach it, is a marvel of ancient engineering. Water flows through terracotta pipes from distant springs, a system that required enormous planning and manual labor to construct. But there's often a line of people waiting, mostly women and slaves, as water carrying is considered humble work. You might wait an hour or more for your turn, standing in the heat with your empty amphora, watching the precious water flow. While waiting, you observe the intricate social hierarchies that govern every interaction. You cannot simply push ahead in line. Your place depends on your social status, your family connections, your reputation in the community. A wealthy citizen's wife might go before you, as might the slave of an important household. Understanding these unwritten rules requires a lifetime of cultural knowledge that you, as a modern visitor, simply don't possess. When your turn finally comes, you must carefully fill your amphora without splashing. Wasting water is both impractical and disrespectful. The water itself isn't the clear, chlorinated liquid you're used to. It tastes different, sometimes metallic from the pipes, sometimes earthy from its source, sometimes slightly cloudy with natural minerals. Your modern digestive system, accustomed to purified water, might rebel against these natural variations. The walk home with a full amphora is an exercise in strength and balance that would defeat most modern people. Ancient Greek women developed remarkable posture and core strength from carrying such loads daily, often balancing them on their heads with perfect grace. Your modern spine, weakened by hours of sitting at desks and in cars, would struggle with this fundamental task of survival. Back home, you face the challenge of food preparation without any modern appliances. There's no microwaves for quick reheating, no electric stove with precise temperature control, no refrigerator to keep ingredients fresh. Cooking happens over wood fires that must be constantly tended, fed with fuel that you or someone in your household spent hours gathering. The smoke burns your eyes and fills your lungs. There are no electric fans to clear the air, no sophisticated ventilation systems. Grinding grain for bread requires arm strength that would leave modern muscles screaming. The process involves pushing heavy stone wheels in circles for hours to produce enough flour for daily needs. Kneading the dough is done entirely by hand, requiring technique and strength developed over years of practice. Your modern hands, soft from minimal manual labor, would develop blisters within the first day. Food preservation is a constant concern that shapes every meal decision. Meat must be consumed quickly after slaughter, unless it's salted, dried, or preserved in oil, processes that require advanced planning and considerable skill. Vegetables must be eaten seasonally or carefully dried for winter storage. There's no running to the grocery store when you run out of something. Everything must be planned with the precision of a military campaign. As the day grows hotter, and summers in Greece can reach temperatures that would be uncomfortable even with modern cooling, you realize there's no escape from the heat. No air conditioning, no electric fans, no cold drinks from a refrigerator. The best you can hope for is shade, and perhaps a clay vessel of water that's been cooled by evaporation. Your modern body, used to precisely controlled indoor temperatures year-round, would struggle to adapt to these natural variations. Midday brings the challenge of personal hygiene without modern facilities. Public baths exist, but they're expensive and not always accessible. Most cleaning happens with olive oil rubbed into the skin and scraped off with bronze tools, a process that's time-consuming and requires oils that are precious commodities. Your hair, without modern shampoos and conditioners, would become oily and heavy. Ancient Greeks used various plant extracts and clay mixtures for cleaning, but achieving the clean line. Clothing care presents another full-time challenge. There are no washing machines, no dry cleaners, no easy care fabrics. Washing clothes means hauling water, heating it over fires, and scrubbing garments by hand with harsh soaps made from ash and fat. The process is so labor-intensive that most people owned very few garments and wore them until they literally fell apart. Your modern closet, full of easily cleaned, diverse clothing, would seem like impossible luxury to ancient eyes. The afternoon heat brings insects, flies, mosquitoes, and other pests that modern screens and pest control normally keep at bay. There are no insecticides, no electric zappers, no DEET-based repellents. You might burn certain herbs to ward off flying insects, but mostly you simply endure their constant presence. Diseases carried by these insects pose real threats that your modern immune system, inexperienced with such challenges, might not handle well. As evening approaches, you realize that artificial lighting consists only of oil lamps and candles. The olive oil used for lamps is the same precious commodity used for cooking and cleaning, so light is used sparingly. When the sun sets, darkness is profound and complete in ways modern people rarely experience. Your circadian rhythms, disrupted by a lifetime of artificial lighting, would need weeks to adjust to the natural cycle of sleeping when it's dark and rising with the dawn. The evening meal preparation begins while there's still natural light to work by. Cooking over open fires requires constant attention. There's no setting a timer and walking away. You must watch for flare-ups, adjust for wind conditions, manage different cooking temperatures by moving pots closer to or farther from the flames. Your modern cooking skills, dependent on precise temperature controls and timing devices, would be nearly useless in this environment. Water for cleaning dishes must be heated over the fire, and soap is a luxury made from ash and fat when available. Most cleaning happens with sand and rough cloths, a process that would wear down both the dishes and your hands. Your modern skin, soft from moisturizers and gentle cleansers, would quickly become cracked and calloused from constant contact with harsh materials. As night falls completely, you realize how much modern life depends on the ability to extend productive hours with artificial light. Ancient Greeks generally rose with the sun and slept soon after it set, simply because lamp oil was too expensive for extended evening activities. Your modern sleep patterns, adapted to staying awake for hours after sunset, would need to completely reorganize around natural light cycles. The sounds of evening are different too. No electric hums, no distant traffic, no air conditioners cycling on and off. Instead, you hear dogs barking, owls calling, the distant sound of night watchmen calling the hours, and the settling sounds of wooden and stone buildings cooling after the day's heat. These natural rhythms, initially strange to your modern ears, gradually become soothing as your body remembers ancestral patterns of rest and activity. As you prepare for sleep on your simple bed, your body aches from the day's physical demands in ways you've never experienced. Every task required full body effort: carrying water, grinding grain, tending fires, walking long distances on rough surfaces. Your modern body, adapted to sedentary life and labor-saving devices, would need months to develop the strength and endurance that ancient people considered normal. Let these challenges wash over you now like gentle rain, reminding you of the incredible resilience and ingenuity of human beings. As you sink deeper into sleep, feel grateful for the convenience and comfort of your modern life, while appreciating the simpler rhythms and deeper physical connection to the world that ancient people experienced every day. Continue breathing deeply as we explore the intricate social world of ancient Greece, where every interaction was governed by complex rules that took a lifetime to master. Let your mind drift peacefully as we discover how challenging it would be to navigate a society so different from our own, where your place in the community determined not just your comfort, but your very survival. In ancient Greek society, you couldn't simply be an individual as you understand it today. Your identity was inseparably tied to your family, your neighborhood, your social class, and your city-state. Modern concepts of personal privacy, individual rights, and social mobility were largely unknown. You were born into a specific role in society, and that role shaped every aspect of your existence in ways that might feel suffocating to your modern sensibilities. As a foreign visitor to this ancient world, you would immediately face the challenge of xenophobia, fear and suspicion of strangers. Ancient Greeks were deeply wary of outsiders, believing their own culture to be superior to all others whom they dismissed as barbarians. Without proper introductions, family, connections, or letters of recommendation from known citizens, you would find doors closed to you everywhere. Simple tasks like finding lodging, purchasing food, or conducting business would become nearly impossible without the right social connections. The language barrier alone would be overwhelming. Even if you had studied ancient Greek, the daily speech of the streets was full of local dialects, cultural references, religious allusions, and social subtleties that couldn't be learned from books. Misunderstanding a social cue or using the wrong form of address could mark you as an outsider instantly, leading to ridicule, exploitation, or worse. The Greeks valued eloquence and wit so highly that your inability to engage in their sophisticated verbal sparring would immediately identify you as culturally inferior in their eyes. Religious observance permeated every aspect of daily life in ways that would seem overwhelming to modern, secular sensibilities. You couldn't simply choose to skip religious festivals or ignore the gods. Public religious ceremonies were mandatory civic duties, and failure to participate marked you as impious and potentially dangerous to the community's welfare. The gods were believed to punish entire cities for the sacrilege of individuals, so your religious nonconformity could make you genuinely unwelcome. The economic system operated on principles that would confuse modern visitors accustomed to standardized currency and fixed prices. Much trade still occurred through barter and personal relationships. Prices fluctuated based not just on supply and demand, but on your social status, your family connections, and the merchant's personal opinion of you. A shopkeeper might charge you triple the normal price simply because you're a stranger. And there would be no consumer protection laws to appeal to. Banking as you know it didn't exist. Wealth was stored in physical objects: land, livestock, precious metals, slaves, rather than abstract financial instruments. Credit cards, checks, and electronic transfers were impossibly futuristic concepts. Every transaction required negotiation, physical exchange, and personal trust. Your modern financial literacy would be useless in a world where a man's word and reputation were his primary economic assets. The concept of privacy that modern people take for granted was almost non-existent. Families lived in close quarters with minimal private space. Neighbours knew each other's business intimately, and community gossip served as both entertainment and social control mechanism. Your modern need for personal space and private time would be seen as antisocial and suspicious. Why would an honest person need to hide their activities from their neighbours? Social hierarchies were rigid and visible in countless ways that would require constant attention to navigate. The width of the purple stripe on a citizen's toga indicated his exact social rank. The way you walked, talked, dressed, and even held your head conveyed information about your place in society. Making a mistake in these subtle signals could result in social humiliation or worse. Your modern egalitarian instincts would constantly clash with expectations of deference to social superiors. Women's roles were so constrained that modern women would find daily life almost unbearably restrictive. Respectable women rarely appeared in public alone, couldn't own property in their own names, couldn't participate in political life, and were expected to remain largely invisible in mixed social settings. Even household management, their primary sphere of influence, was subject to male oversight. Your modern expectations of gender equality would be not just unthinkable, but literally incomprehensible to most ancient. The legal system operated on principles that would seem alien to modern sensibilities, accustomed to professional judges and standardized procedures. Justice was often administered by large juries of ordinary citizens who voted based on emotional appeals as much as evidence. There were no professional lawyers. You had to represent yourself or rely on the rhetorical skills of friends. Punishment was swift and often brutal, with public humiliation and physical pain serving as both punishment and deterrent. Education was a privilege of the wealthy, and even then focused primarily on rhetoric, philosophy, and physical training rather than practical skills or universal literacy. Your modern assumption that everyone should learn to read and write would seem wasteful and potentially dangerous. Why would slaves and laborers need such skills? Your broad general knowledge, taken for granted in modern society, would seem impossibly sophisticated to most ancient Greeks, while simultaneously lacking the specific cultural knowledge they considered essential. Political participation, the pride of Athenian democracy, was limited to adult male citizens, a small fraction of the population that excluded women, slaves, and foreigners. Even among citizens, political involvement required rhetorical skills, family connections, and leisure time that working people couldn't afford. Your modern democratic ideals would seem naive and impractical to people who understood politics as the natural privilege of the educated elite. Medical knowledge was a mixture of practical wisdom and dangerous superstition. Physicians had no understanding of germ theory, anesthesia, or basic anatomy. Surgery was performed without pain relief, and many conditions considered easily treatable today were death sentences. Your modern faith in medical science would clash with a system that attributed disease to divine punishment, imbalanced humors, and moral failings. Social entertainment behavior. The pace of social change was glacially slow compared to modern expectations. Fashion, customs, and social conventions remained stable for generations. Your modern comfort with rapid social evolution would clash with a society that viewed innovation with suspicion and preferred time-tested traditions. Suggesting improvements to existing systems would mark you as dangerously impious and disrespectful to ancestral wisdom. Communication beyond your immediate community was limited and slow. News from other cities arrived with traveling merchants or official messengers, often days or weeks after events occurred. Your modern expectation of instant global communication would seem like impossible magic. The insularity this created meant that local customs and prejudices went unchallenged by outside perspectives, making social change even more difficult. Personal relationships operated under different rules that would require careful study to navigate. Friendship was more formal and contractual, often involving specific obligations and expectations. Romantic love, as modern people understand it, was less important than family alliances and social compatibility. Marriage was primarily an economic and political arrangement between families, with personal happiness being a secondary consideration at best. As evening approaches in this ancient world, you begin to understand that social survival would require completely reorganizing your personality, values, and expectations. The individualistic, egalitarian, privacy-loving modern person would need to become communal, hierarchical, and transparent in ways that might feel like losing your essential self. This transformation would be so profound that you might question whether the person who emerged from it would still be recognizably you. Let these social complexities drift through your consciousness now, like clouds across an ancient sky. Feel grateful for the freedom and flexibility of modern social life, while appreciating the deep community bonds and cultural continuity that ancient societies provided. As sleep approaches, remember that every society creates both opportunities and constraints, and the challenge of being human remains remarkably constant across the centuries. Chapter 4: The Gentle Return to Modern Comfort. As your journey through ancient Greece draws to a close, let your breathing become even slower and deeper, preparing for a gentle return to the safety and comfort of your modern world. Feel your body sinking completely into your contemporary bed as we explore what returning from such an adventure would mean, and what gifts of perspective this imaginary journey offers. After days or weeks in ancient Athens, your modern mind would be forever changed by the experience. You would have developed a profound appreciation for conveniences you once took for granted. The simple miracle of turning a handle and having clean, safe water flow instantly. The magic of flipping a switch and banishing darkness completely. The wonder of opening a refrigerator and finding fresh food from around the world, preserved in perfect condition. Your body, initially shocked by the physical demands of ancient life, would have begun to adapt in surprising ways. Your feet, toughened by walking on stone streets, would have developed natural calluses that served as organic shoes. Your hands, strengthened by grinding grain and carrying water, would have gained the practical knowledge that comes only from direct physical engagement with the world. Your posture would have improved from carrying loads balanced on your head and shoulders. Your sleep patterns, synchronized with natural light cycles, would have become deeper and more restorative than anything modern medicine could provide. The silence of ancient nights would have recalibrated your nervous system in profound ways. Without the constant background hum of electricity, the distant drone of traffic, or the ping of notifications, your mind would have learned to rest in ways it rarely achieves in modern life. The deep, complete darkness would have allowed your body to produce melatonin naturally, creating sleep so profound that you would wake feeling more refreshed than you had in years. Your relationship with food would have been transformed by scarcity and seasonality. Every meal would have become a meditation on gratitude. The simple sweetness of honey, the complex flavors of fermented fish sauce, the satisfaction of bread made from grain you helped process. These would have awakened taste buds numbed by artificial flavors and endless variety. You would have learned to eat slowly, mindfully, appreciating each bite in a way that modern abundance makes difficult. The social connections in ancient Greece, despite their constraints, would have shown you the deep human need for community that modern individualism sometimes overlooks. Every person you met would have been embedded in networks of obligation, support, and mutual dependence that created both security and responsibility. You would have learned that privacy, while precious, comes at the cost of isolation that ancient people would have found unbearable. The rhythm of work tied to natural cycles would have taught your body ancient patterns of rest and activity. Rising with the sun, working during daylight hours, and sleeping when darkness fell would have synchronized your internal clock with natural rhythms in ways that millions of years of evolution designed. You would have discovered energy patterns you never knew you had, finding yourself most alert during morning hours and naturally tired as evening approached. The physical labor required for every task would have given you a new relationship with your body. Instead of being something that sits at desks and stares at screens, your body would have become a finely tuned instrument for interacting with the physical world. Your muscles would have developed not from artificial exercises, but from meaningful work. Carrying, lifting, walking, grinding, kneading, scraping, chopping. Every movement would have had purpose beyond fitness. The simplicity of ancient technology would have forced you to develop skills and knowledge that modern convenience has allowed to atrophy. You would have learned to read weather patterns by observing clouds and wind direction. You would have understood the phases of the moon, not as astronomical curiosity, but as practical information for timing activities. You would have developed an intimate knowledge of seasonal cycles, understanding when to plant, when to harvest, when to preserve food for winter. The absence of modern entertainment would have awakened creative capacities you might not have known you possessed. With no screens to stare at, your mind would have turned inward, discovering the rich landscape of imagination that people throughout history have explored. You would have learned to find fascination in simple things: the play of light on water, the shapes of clouds, the intricate patterns of leaves, the subtle variations in human faces and voices. Your modern knowledge, so useful in contemporary life, would have seemed like magic to ancient eyes, while simultaneously proving inadequate for ancient challenges. You might have amazed people by predicting eclipses or explaining why certain diseases spread, but you wouldn't have known how to weave cloth, preserve meat, or navigate by the stars. This would have taught you humility about the different types of intelligence that different eras require. The spiritual dimension of ancient life would have challenged your modern secular assumptions in unexpected ways. Living in a world where gods were believed to intervene daily in human affairs would have opened your mind to mystery and wonder that scientific materialism sometimes crowds out. Whether or not you came to believe in ancient gods, you would have developed a deeper appreciation for the human need to find meaning and connection in forces greater than individual will. The limited travel and communication of ancient times would have taught you to find contentment in small spaces and simple pleasures. Instead of always looking toward distant horizons and future possibilities, you would have learned to find infinite depth in immediate surroundings. The olive tree outside your door would have become as fascinating as any exotic destination. Time itself would have revealed new dimensions. Without clocks dividing every hour into precise intervals, you would have learned to measure time by shadows, by the position of the sun, by your body's natural rhythms. Days would have felt longer, fuller, more complete. The modern sense of time scarcity would have given way to time abundance. Even though your actual lifespan in ancient Greece would likely have been much shorter. Now, as your imaginary journey draws to a close, feel yourself gently floating forward through the centuries, carried on that same warm Mediterranean breeze that brought you backward in time. Feel the weight of history lifting from your shoulders as you return to your modern moment, but carrying with you the gifts that this ancient world has offered. You wake up in your own bed, in your own time, with profound gratitude for things you may never have fully appreciated before. The soft mattress supporting your body, the precise temperature control that keeps you comfortable, the clean water flowing from your taps, the abundance of food in your refrigerator, the instant access to information and communication that connects you to the entire world. All of these feel like miraculous gifts rather than basic expectations. But you also carry with you ancient wisdom that modern life sometimes obscures. You remember the deep satisfaction of physical work, the profound rest that comes from natural sleep cycles, the rich community connections that sustained people through difficulties, the patience and mindfulness that slower rhythms of life cultivated. You understand now that while you wouldn't want to permanently trade your modern conveniences for ancient hardships, there are elements of ancient life that could enrich your contemporary existence. You might find yourself walking more, appreciating the simple act of moving through space under your own power. You might eat more slowly, savoring flavors and textures that rushed meals obscure. You might seek out moments of genuine silence and darkness, remembering how restorative they can be for a nervous system overwhelmed by constant stimulation. Most importantly, you carry with you a deeper appreciation for the incredible journey of human civilization. Every modern convenience represents thousands of years of human innovation, struggle, and gradual improvement. You are the beneficiary of countless generations who lived simpler, harder lives, but who passed down their knowledge, skills, and dreams to create the world you inhabit today. As sleep finally claims you completely, let yourself rest in the profound comfort of your modern bed, surrounded by the safety and convenience of contemporary life, but enriched by your imaginary journey to a time when life was simpler, more physical, more connected to natural rhythms. You wouldn't last a day in ancient Greece without extensive preparation and gradual adaptation. But in your dreams, you can visit whenever you wish, always returning home with deeper appreciation for both the hardships our ancestors endured and the remarkable world they helped create for us. Sleep now, modern traveller, in the comfort they dreamed of but never knew, carrying their ancient wisdom into your contemporary dreams. Let the gentle lessons of resilience, community, and appreciation flow through your consciousness like warm honey, sweetening your rest with gratitude for both the journey taken and the safe return home. Feel your breathing slow to match the ancient rhythms you discovered. Deep, natural, unhurried. Your body releases the tension of imaginary hardships while retaining the wisdom they offered. In your dreams tonight, you may find yourself walking on sun-warmed stone streets, carrying water from ancient fountains, sharing simple meals with people whose names are lost to history, but whose humanity connects directly to your own. Tomorrow, when you wake to electric lights and running water, to instant communication and abundant food, to medical knowledge and social freedoms that ancient Greeks couldn't imagine, you will wake as a time traveler returned from an impossible journey. You will understand in your bones what it means to be grateful for the ordinary miracles of modern life, while carrying in your heart the timeless wisdom of simpler days. The olive trees of ancient Athens grow still in your imagination, their silver leaves catching Mediterranean sunlight that has shone unchanged for millennia. The voices of long-dead philosophers echo softly in your dreams, reminding you that while the tools and conditions of human life change dramatically across the centuries, the fundamental experiences of joy, sorrow, hope, love, and wonder remain constant as the stars. Rest deeply now, knowing you are safely home in your own time, enriched by your journey to the past, prepared for whatever adventures tomorrow may bring. The ancient world sleeps peacefully in your memory, and you sleep peacefully in the modern world it helped create. Sweet dreams, fellow traveller through time. May your sleep be as deep as an ancient olive grove, as peaceful as a Mediterranean dawn, and as refreshing as cool water from a mountain spring. The end.